But then the biggest thing is when you look at what your rent rates are in comparable units and what those finishings are like, you just have to underwrite that accordingly, and you want to match it. And a lot of guys like to, I think they over renovate where they'll throw like granite into a place where no other rental in that price range has granite. It makes no sense.
Right. It's Hard Hat the CEO time. Yes, it's Chris G here, and we've got a treat today, one of my favorite subjects, and I bet y'all can guess what it is. It's real estate. Yes, yes, yes. I do like building properties, but I just love owning them and then making money on them, however that happens. So today we're going to meet with a gentleman here in Minnesota. That's up north of Missouri, if you don't know your geography, but I'm sure you do. Please help me welcome Cody Stegeman. How you doing, Cody?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Cody, we're going to talk about real estate today, I'm sure. Also running your own business, and I love talking about helping my listeners, my contractors, buy those other assets. And that's kind of what you do. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself before we get into it?
Yeah, for sure. So I got to start just in kind of general construction when I was young. I grew up doing stuff. I mean, I was helping family doing roofs, working for my uncles all through high school, stuff like that. And then same thing, got out of high school, started doing construction. Pretty quickly realized that my body was not going to last long term, and that there wasn't really a retirement vehicle built into construction for me. And after kind of talking to a few different people that had been in the real estate space, I kind of decided that it seemed like a good avenue to leverage my skill set, plus be able to set myself up for actual long-term wealth instead of being, 50, 60 years old with a broken body and not having any money. I just, anybody that's been on a job site has seen guys like that, unfortunately. And I was terrified of that happening.
So you took the big leap. Now, I tell a story about my first book I read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, yeah.
You read that one, I assume?
Oh, I think that was the big one for all of us. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is, man. There's something magical about it.
So you took the leap. Now, my first one, I actually started flipping homes and taking money and investing.
That's
What
what I
was
did too to start.
that your strategy? Yeah.
Yep. When I first started, I partnered with someone that had a little bit of money. Made sure I did my due diligence, so I kind of understood the underwriting process. How do you figure out what an ARV is? What kind of spread do I want? And obviously, I'd been doing construction, so I understood the the material cost input and the timeline facet of it. So found someone that had more money that was willing to partner with me. And then we went in on it 50-50 actually, where he did all the funding and kind of the back end stuff. And then I did all the on-site management and a lot of the work. And yeah, that's how I got my start in real estate initially, was just exclusively flipping.
And took those flips, and I know you're an investor. Did you invest that money in more flips or other rentals, or how'd that work out?
For sure. So, I mean, the big thing was when I first started, I wanted to try to reinvest as much as I could. So I was actually working full time, doing construction and doing flips at the same time. That way I was, I could kind of try to recycle those proceeds forward. And then just kind of kept flipping. And we did that for a few years. And then we kind of got to the point where we're like, okay, we're ready. I was ready to transition into having some actual long-term assets. And that's when we started picking up rentals.
I see. Now, did you buy any flips and make rentals, or did you buy rentals occupied, or how'd that work?
So my entire strategy has been around just value add real estate investing, essentially. So I like buying the stuff that is really distressed, under optimized, underutilized space. I mean, whether it can be, there's an extra room that can be converted to a bedroom. The place is just disheveled. It's full of junk. Even to, like, I did foundation work for a while, so like foundation issues don't scare me. I mean, I like the big problems. I mean, we're up where we're at. We've been able to pick up houses that, even modern, like we just bought a house for 31 grand a few weeks ago. And it was a hoarder house and it was disgusting on the inside. But like, I'm looking at this and it's not going to take that much money when it's all said and done. And the thing's going to be worth 160, 170 grand.
Y'all hear that? Yeah, 35, 32,000 when it's all said and done. So how much, I know you put a lot of, let's not talk about sweat equity, because that's a whole confusing, it's not confusing, but it's not what I preach. I mean, I used to do it myself. And obviously starting out, I'm all about the sweat equity.
Yeah.
But at some point you got to turn it over to more so you can get more done.
100%.
What When it's all said and done, how much money do you think you invested in that house? Just
Uh,
take time to.
yeah. So we're kind of at like phase 2 right now on the project, but we're
Yeah.
all in. It'll be about 22 grand.
So 22 plus your 32, you're, let's say 60,000,
Yeah.
and it'll be worth 160.
Yep. Yeah, and we don't know. We're either gonna sell it and take it, or this one also. We'd probably be able to get about $1,500 a month in rent on
Uh-huh.
it. So we haven't decided if we're gonna sell it. It kind of depends on. We have a couple other projects going right now, so it kind of depends on how those shake out. But yeah.
We can talk after the show, but I want to ask you this one. You ever consider rent to own?
So I've done it a couple times way back in
Uh-huh.
the day, and I had one good experience and one bad experience. And to be honest, I think I would need to be paired up with an attorney that understands what they're doing better to be able to really utilize it. Because I think my contracts weren't drawn up in the best way, how I had them
Okay.
done before.
And just so disclosure, everybody, hey, I'm not an attorney, and neither is Cody, and I know that different states handle them different ways. So if that's something that interests you, we can actually talk later, get on a session call with me. But if you're going to do anything like that, talk to an attorney about your state as far as goes rent to own. So I talk about with my contractors and my clients, I want them to, in slow times, find those projects you're talking about. You know, I was taught in all the classes I ever took and reading and studying that obviously contractors can afford to pay just a bit more than, say, an investor because he's already got the people, he's already got the
Yeah,
tools. So I'm not talking about craziness. Still got to do your due diligence. You got to figure out the numbers, but you can afford something better than, say, the everyday investor because unless they're doing it themselves, that's the only person going to beat you on the line. But
100%.
they're taking all their time up. So I'm talking about either buying projects, buying assets, fixing them up, however you need to do it. There's all types of strategies out there, but that's awesome. I understood kind of what you meant. Can you explain the value add part again?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is, we look for properties that are in rough shape, whether they're a hoarder house, the kitchens and bathrooms are gross, disgusting floors, bad roof, whatever it is, and where we know that after we go through and we do all of that work, that a comparable home it would be worth enough where the spread justifies our work input. So, there's different I guess we operate around different margins depending on the different price points we're in. But
Mhm.
obviously, we just want to make sure we have enough of a spread where we can pay everybody to do the job, cover all the material costs. And a lot of times, we're either selling outright or we're refinancing and pulling money out and paying for everything out of pocket and being into a deal for $0 at the end of the day.
I'll, I'm sure you got some nuggets there, but I'll give one out. When I look for houses, I love the ones that flip, or I guess even rent for that matter. I had gotten to a point where I was rent instead of flipping them, I'd rent to own them, and we can talk about that later. That's a
Yeah,
different strategy. But the point being was, I loved houses that had older houses that had forced air, but heat only, no AC, and were 3 bedroom. And I figured out a way to put another bathroom in there.
oh yeah,
So it's a 3 bedroom, 1 bath. I figured out how to do it second bath plus add the AC, and your value just went craziness up. And if it was distressed too, that's even a bonus.
oh yeah.
So
My version of that is there's a ton of 5 bedroom rentals in one of the
uh-huh.
cities I operate in are huge for the college market. So
Oh
we'll
yeah.
find a lot of distressed 4 bedroom houses that, like you said,
Uh-huh.
have no AC, but they have a bonus, like a bonus room, and nobody uses it.
Yeah.
It's like almost an extra dining room. So we do a bedroom conversion, we put in AC, and we get this thing rented. And I mean, just from
Oh.
that little bit of work, the spread it creates is insane.
Do you this is a question actually you said to ask you, but I want to know, do you manage your own now?
So yeah,
Or
I have two different people that I work with that handle all the back end
uh-huh.
stuff. So I was self managing, but I'm not anymore. Just because it became I hate that facet of it, to be honest, the back end part of it. I like to be doing stuff. And then
Uh-huh.
yeah, it was nice to offload it to someone else so I didn't have to worry about it anymore. And they're
My
better at it.
man. Absolutely. So you can go the route that Cody goes, where he either hires somebody to help manage internally, or you can have a property manager. I personally have a property manager, but I have toyed around with doing the internal. And it's just one of them. it becomes a math question of how many properties do you have, and then once you've decided that, then you can decide if you need to do a property manager or have somebody come on your own.
Yeah.
I don't know what that magic number is. I think it's everybody's different with that magic number, but if that's part of your vision or your math, that's great.
Yeah. Well, and I know whenever we underwrite deals, and I've actually worked with a couple contractors that have done some like rentals locally here, and I it's very easy for guys to forget about an allocation on the back end for like management and maintenance and capital expenses. Because I think a lot of us that like to do stuff ourselves, in our head, we just assume that we'll do it. But the reality is you still have to budget for that line item if you ever want to be able to not have to do it.
Well, we always got to remember this show is called Hard Hat the CEO. I want you in that CEO position and not doing that day-to-day stuff. Whether it be you're hiring it out, you've got guys that you'll just send over there to take care of it. You're already paying for them anyway. Or if your management company hires a hired hand, or however that works out for you guys. But the point is, I don't want you doing it in the long run. Get out of that position, step up to that point. Well, you were talking about investing. Got off the CEO side. It'll come back to me, I'm sure.
Was it the refinance that I referenced?
No, well, that could be too. I've got all kinds of ideas in my head. So tell me how you use refinancing as a strategy.
Yeah, so I mean the big thing is, we a recent deal we just did. Here's an easy example. We bought a single family home. It was gross more than anything. Went in, cleaned it out, put all new flooring, all new paint. We bought it for $100,000. Got tenants placed at a price for $215,000. So we went ahead and did I think we did a 75-25 on that one. So 75%, loan to value. But so we pulled out, I think it was like 165 when it was all said and done. So we bought it for 100. We were all in for like 18 or 19 grand. That was the materials and my guy's labor. And then, when this is all said and done, we pulled out like 40 grand in cash. So we have an asset that cash flows. I have no cash left in the deal. And it was a very quick turnaround. And the thing throws cash every single month now.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
What I was actually figuring out, I'm to a point now where I want to do syndicates.
Yeah.
I want to join other people. Is that something part of your vision, or do you have a vision long term where you want to be as an investor?
Yeah, so I mean, as far as syndication, we've thrown that idea around as well. Right now, what I'd say our 5 to 10 year horizon is to keep building out our team internally, and be able to keep taking on this value add space, just because I think there is giant untapped value, just because the skill sets have really shifted amongst the average population, where a lot of these problems even 20 years ago that didn't seem that bad to the average person are now quite daunting to an average buyer. So I think there's just a lot of places that are ripe to be purchased at a real discounted price. And I mean, we do single family, small multifamily. We're looking into some mid-sized multifamily and motels and stuff like that too. Syndication is a conversation we've had, but at this point, we're just looking to kind of keep scaling up internally and get more units.
The other thing, when you were talking about keeping the stuff for the back end, you got to calculate for your taxes, you got your maintenance, your upkeep. If you have a property manager, or even if you keep it internal, you got to figure in your overhead as far as managing. So I created a document back in the day when I was looking at buying homes, and it was a spreadsheet, and I could figure out everything, and you can figure out your cash on cash return. You can figure out your payments. You got places to keep. It reminds you, oh, I got to keep X amount out. It has to come out of my fees as well. Now, everybody's different, and those are based on percentages, but you got to do the math. That's where you make your money.
Yeah. So people that I talk to, I usually recommend around a 40% expense ratio of gross rents allocated towards all costs. And I know that number seems thick. I get it, but if a roof is 30 grand and it lasts 20 years, and you start breaking that down by what is it each month, a furnace is 8 to 10 grand up here where we're at, and AC is $5,000 or $6,000. When you start adding all of that in, amortized out monthly over month, like those allocations are very real. Plus, you have general maintenance, you have vacancy, we have managers. So like I said, most people I talk to, like in my local market, especially, I recommend around a 40% expense ratio allocated towards those fixed costs. So we just allocate that money as money comes in. We set the money aside for that stuff to make sure it's covered. Yep.
Like an escrow account, savings account type thing.
Yeah,
Now your 40%, does that include the vacancy as
it
well?
does. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, that includes maintenance, management, vacancy, and capital expenses. And then there's like a small miscellaneous slush fund in there too, because you're always going to have those costs where you got to pay your accountant. You're going to have gas, marketing, software, office supplies. Like it, people don't budget for these numbers, and they buy rentals and they can't figure out why they lose money at the end of the year.
No, you got to add all that together. Mine's broken down individually, but I'm doing the math here right now. It's very close to 40% on the way
Yep,
I do it.
that's
And it's
great.
all the same. I mean, you got to do it somehow. Calculate it. Uh, you got to calculate if you're not paying for it outright, or you got to calculate the interest involved. If you're getting somebody to, it all adds up.
Oh, for sure.
And then we talk about, at least in flipping houses, you got to remember taxes. They're going to take part of that.
Yeah.
Or if you 1031 exchange, which is a tax code for reinvesting your dollars, and you can save taxes that way, but you're still in the real estate market, and you have to find properties that make sense to invest in.
Well,
Now,
I think.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead, sorry.
Oh,
So,
no.
I think this is one of the great things too, especially guys in our space where, it really feels like you get hammered by taxes. As you develop a portfolio, the tax advantages of it are huge. I mean, it can be a great way to offset your income. Because obviously, if you have more than a few units, you can be categorized as what's called a real estate professional. So you can cross collateralize your losses. So your real estate losses can, come off of your
Offset.
income. Yep, in other areas. So I mean, that's been huge for us too, as far as like, I mean, my tax burden has went down year over year the last few years, even though I've made more money and owned more properties, simply
Mhm.
because of that, that the write-off and deduction infrastructure that comes along with real estate.
And again, Cody and I are not tax professionals either, but
We are not.
talk to your accountant, but they'll understand what we're referring to. Uh, if they don't, then find another accountant, because what we're talking about is some really powerful ways to increase your assets, increase your cash flow, and reduce your tax burden. How many offers do you make, Cody?
Uh, so really, it kind of depends on our current workload and project time horizon. Um, I would say probably in a given month, 5 to 10,
Hmm.
like formal ones. But our kind of network is such that it's been developed in a way where we have a lot of deals that kind of come to us,
Hmm.
where our offer making infrastructure is a little bit different, I guess, than someone that's a little less like developed in terms of we have wholesalers that call us pretty regularly. Like we have a lot of agents that we work closely with. We have word of mouth, so we get off market deals that come our way. So we don't have to work quite as much at this point, for some of the deals. But years ago, I was relentless. I was making probably 10 offers a week
Yeah.
on places trying to find stuff at the right discounted price.
Some of my best deals were people that called me because they knew I bought houses. I got out of them. I did whatever. You had a good reputation, and I made some really sweet deals.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes I just honestly listen. You know what I do. I got to buy it at the right price to make money. And if I can't, I can't. I don't want to hurt your feelings. And no, no, sir, we understand. We need to get out of this house. I got a job in Kansas City, and I live in the middle, and we got to leave in 2 weeks. All right, we'll figure it out. That being said, you said wholesalers, and I haven't dealt with one in a long time, but they are some great people if you got a good one.
Oh yeah,
And would you explain to the audience what a wholesaler is and how it works with
for
in
sure.
your case, for example?
Yeah. So basically, you have an individual that's going to be doing a combination of mailers and different marketing streams, cold calling, SEO, things like that, where they're going to be building up of a list of people that are looking to sell their homes. And then what they do is they get those homes under contract at a discounted price, and then they connect with an investor who ends up being the end buyer. And then what they do is they make a fee on the spread between what the seller wants to sell the house for and then what the investor is willing to buy the house for. So really, at the end of the day, they're just facilitating, connecting people that want to sell and buyers.
They provide a lot of pictures too, don't they? I mean, they used to. I assume they still do. I haven't dealt one like, and the advantage of the internet, you can see them online right away. You can
Yeah.
do virtual tours of the properties.
Oh yeah.
Now, for my contractors, what I want you to think about I'm sure each wholesaler is different. some wholesalers will, to entice the investor, not entice them, but just prove it's a good point, is show them the purchase price from them and with their fees, whatever it is. They're going to show you the numbers and they're going to tell you what they anticipate the repairs to be. Well, you being a contractor, you know those repairs probably include the fact that what you would charge somebody else. Well, you know you're not going to charge yourself that. So you can either make a little more money or pay a little bit more if you're competing against somebody. Those are the benefits of a wholesaler. Um, Now, that same note, the reason I don't use wholesalers as much is I live in a small community. And I think wholesalers are more powerful in larger cities with more population
I would agree.
because they had more to look for. So when I was buying some stuff in St. Louis, they were great. Around here is okay, but not as much because there's more investors in our wholesalers or properties in smaller communities, put it that
Yeah,
way. So I'm not against them. I just don't use them as much based on my location, but they are highly valuable if you get a good one.
for sure.
So,
Well, especially the work that comes with the marketing materials, the follow up, the kind of quick underwriting, all those different moving pieces. You kind of have to decide. I mean, if you want to dive into that, that is more or less another job. So it's nice to be able to outsource that to someone and have them bring deals to you.
well, they'd say, Cody or Chris, you mean I'm going to pay somebody to find a property? Yeah. If you've ever done it before and you constantly, unless you have the time, which as CEOs, I rather you get out the job site and onto a boat on the lake and go fishing or skiing, whatever it is. Let them people call you and say, "Hey, I've got a property to buy. Here's the numbers." You know, time is uh, obviously what we're here for,
Yeah,
and let the people do what they do best, and they'll get you a bunch of them. And then just because they call you, don't mean you have to buy either. I
for
mean,
sure. I
some
say, and
some don't.
I'll
Go
gladly
ahead.
pay a guy a $20,000 assignment fee if he's bringing me a place that's 100 grand undervalued. For sure.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Why would I even
who
hesitate?
cares?
Yeah,
Just think about the numbers at the end. That's really what you're really focused on. Once you've done your due diligence, and we're not going to get into due diligence now because that's a whole different conversation as far as
it
what to
is.
look for, the strategies, all kinds of strategies, all types of personality, um, when I say risk factors that you want to take into fact. I mean, it's not 100%, no doubt, but let's do this every day. Well, investors do it every day. Cody does it every day. I don't do it as much as I used to. I do like it though. It's a lot of fun because you go out find a diamond in the rough and you can turn it around.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you have staff. How many staff do you have, Cody?
So we've got two full time. And
Uh-huh.
we are kind of in the middle of making the transition from we had a pretty robust like sub infrastructure that we were working through, and then we have been kind of going through the trial and error of slow growth and finding our way to work through good employees. Like I said, historically we've just worked primarily with subs because there's been difficulty finding quality personnel. In terms of guys that'll
Uh-huh.
stick around after you train them and get the job done. But yes, we've got two full-time guys. Oh, and then a third one that's doing the management as well, I guess. So three total. We had when I did just construction exclusively, I had more guys before. But this is kind of the transition was a little tough in terms of trying to switch over to the real estate game full time, buying stuff, making sure I had enough work, training and oversight, just because the process is a little bit different than normal, traditional construction, right? It is a little different.
Sure. It is different. I mean, um, if you hate remodeling, you might hate doing flippers. If you, that's one thing. I mean, it's true. Actually, I can't say I hate remodeling. I like the fact that I can hire people to do it now than I used to do it all myself. But I learned a lot of things that way. If you want places that are already rented and showing numbers, that's one way of looking at that. There's a lot of different strategies, and we're going to talk about real estate in general. Cody, do you like in well, I guess I'll explain. So when you buy properties, you can buy them as a single residence. You can buy them as a multifamily, meaning more than one household lives in that property. Um, I guess you can go to help me out, Cody. What's the big ones like apartment complexes?
Yeah,
I guess
yeah. I
we
mean,
consider
yeah, you've got
multifamily
it's
though,
like
right?
small multifamily and big
Yeah.
multifamily. Yeah, usually it's like sub 4 units or over 4 units.
Okay. It's
Uh,
been a while. Which ones do you prefer the most?
So small multifamily has been our best like setting recently, and that's been driven mostly by insurance rates actually. Just
Mm.
because we've found that like our mid-sized multifamily, we have been getting hammered by our insurance. We've been seeing 2, 3, 400% increases in rates, which obviously eats into the bottom line like crazy. So like small multifamily
Ridiculous.
has been a lot better for us on the insurance side recently.
When you say small multifamily, is that 4 or less or
Yep, sub 4
duplex?
units.
Okay. I've had up to, I had an 11 plex one time, and most of mine were 4 plexes. And then we sold them during the good times of the year. The last couple of years the market's been up, so it's been a good time to get out. Now I'm waiting for the fall so we can start buying again. Uh, well, it's just part of the game, Um, but I have duplexes now, and the insurance is necessary evil, I know, but man,
It
we all
feels
pay
rough.
lots of money to insurance. That is a heck of a good. It
I
just
know
feels
we've
good.
actually, just because we're able to do stuff in house, we've been switching over to ACV, so actual cash value opposed to replacement value,
Oh yeah,
where a little higher deductible infrastructure and stuff. Just because how many claims are at the end of the day more than a few $1,000s realistically? I'd rather save thousands of dollars on my premium and have a higher deductible and kind of traverse the infrastructure that way.
well, as contractors, they're valuing what they'd have to pay somebody. As contract owners, we know that it doesn't cost that much. We have profit built in, and you can play that game with back and forth from business to business as far as internal. That's another attorney and accountant question. But that being said, talking about the actual cash value, they told me, I said, well, what's it insured for? And they told me, I said, do you really like to build 2 of those for the amount that you've got that insured for? I could personally. Now maybe somebody else couldn't, but I could.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so what would the other way around be? And they told me, so okay, that's more realistic. Okay, and obviously drop your price down. So we as contractors, who know the numbers better than most, have a little more advantage than say somebody that doesn't. So we can save money on our insurance. As long as it's all covered by the bank, they're happy, and we know we're all good to go.
Yeah,
The syndicate part, I was talking about syndicates. The reason I'm kind of interested in syndicates, I'd want to get in those huge complexes,
for
but I
sure.
don't want to manage them. I guess I'll own part of them. It's like
Uh,
I know I want to get pictures of it, and that check coming in the mail or over the digital line coming in.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is all the big stuff we've been underwriting recently. The numbers have been a lot tighter, but I mean that comes with a high interest rate environment and it's the
Yeah.
general economic state right now. Like the big stuff is a little bit tighter
When you look at even a rental, I guess, how do you decide how much is needed to be done? How much lipstick on that lipstick and rouge we put on that pig before
for
we
sure. So
sell it or rent it?
100%. So two parts to this. One, I've paid attention a lot over the years, especially when I self-managed and did all my own maintenance and everything. I figured out what are the things that people call on a lot. So whenever I'm doing a reno on a rental, like specifically, I always replace those things. Um, you know, Water fixtures, like traps are another big one, doorknobs, like a lot of these dumb things that, probably could be fine leaving the older stuff in. But an old doorknob comes loose, doesn't quite shut right, the striker's misaligned. That old P-trap that was silicone shut by the last landlord is leaking, like a lot of stuff like that. So we do focus on the stuff that causes maintenance issues. We always try to take care of that. Especially HVAC and AC, we like to replace those as well if they're aged at all when we go through a place. But then the biggest thing is when you look at what your rent rates are in comparable units and what those finishings are like, you just have to underwrite that accordingly and you want to match it. And a lot of guys like to I think they over renovate where they'll throw like granite into a place where no other rental in that price range has granite. It makes no sense.
Right.
We're good going with like a laminate countertop or same with like a sheet vinyl. It's like, hey, I understand you want to tile that kitchen, but we can go in and put sheet vinyl in and be all in for sub $2 a square, putting in sheet vinyl opposed to, quadruple that if we're tiling and it doesn't affect the rent rate at all.
I used to rent, well, I used to have partners, And I used to tell them, remember, you're not living there.
Yeah.
And that's not being mean. That just talks about make it nice. The sheet vinyl is just as nice as tile at the end of the day. It serves the same purpose. But you're here to make a business and run a business. And unfortunately, I can't say all renters, but let's say 50% of them are going to tear it up anyway.
Yeah.
Some of them take very good care of it. Some of them don't. And you never know. And I've had renters still with me today, been here 15 years. And I've went and did some general maintenance, but other than that, I haven't. Then you got the ones that move in sometimes 6 months and you're
Mhm.
going back in and fixing
Yeah.
it up.
Well, yeah,
So
that's like in our college rentals, we'll throw like a 30, 35-ounce face weight carpet in the
yeah,
bedrooms just because every time I go with something nicer, it never lasts anyway. People are spilling on it, they're dragging stuff all over it. They drag a
yeah.
bed back and forth enough times, it's gonna get stretched weird. You can't fix it. I mean, like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
When so the other thing I would talk about is like, all right, if you're not going to live there, that's one thing, and you're going to rent it. It's one way. If I'm going to sell it, I might do something. I'm doing something different.
I would
And that's
agree.
a mentality you got to look at when you're investing in this stuff. What's your end game for the property?
Yeah.
Is what you plan on doing with it. I see another note here. Oh, I'll ask this one. Can Is there any reason why somebody can't do what we do?
No,
You do?
I tell you what, I am the biggest real estate, like especially in the value add space, fanboy that exists. I tell everybody I know that they should do it, and very few people take it serious. I mean, I think about this. This is just real easy numbers. I just went through this with a friend of mine, and she's an agent. She was looking at buying some places. There was a house. It's kind of dirty inside. It needed to be painted, maybe a little bit of flooring, and it was being
Yeah.
under rented by like $300 or $400. She bought the place, got the tenants out, hired a cleaning company to go in. We got it painted for her. She placed new tenants at $500 more than what it was before. And the rule of thumb is for every $100 of rent increase you see, that's around a $10,000 increase in valuation. So just think, she bought this place, hired someone to clean it, did a little bit of painting, and she has no like construction skills. And she just got a $50,000 bump to her net worth for doing that. And it took almost no work. And the asset's going to cash flow every single month. And deals like this exist everywhere.
Absolutely. The reason I mentioned this before, I'm in a very small town of 900, and I go to other towns where I have rentals of towns of 13,000, which are still small in the scheme of things. And I do it. I've done it there. I've done it a lot. I can do it today if I want to go out and focus on just that. If you're in larger communities, it's so much easier because you got a lot more to work with. Um, Talk to your city halls because they might be doing some things in certain areas that the properties are depressed. They might have some plans going on or some grant money or something like that, and then you can get on the bottom rung of that thing and just rise it on up and ride it to where you want it. And
Yeah, we're actually invested in a couple of smaller towns outside of a bigger community too.
yeah,
And with how drastic costs have increased in these bigger cities, a lot of these secondary communities are seeing a lot of bump in prices, both like rent and valuations of homes. So I mean, yeah, you can make money in any of these markets as long as you underwrite it right. I think you can be in any size town realistically, and you can make it work.
before we go, is there anything you'd tell a new person out there, let's say a contractor, anybody ready to do? What would you do first?
Yeah, so there's two core options. Either you buy a small multifamily sub 4 units yourself and you live in one of the units just because you can get into it for you're talking 5% or less down. And because I did this on my first place I bought by myself, I did this with a triplex. I lived in one unit, I renovated it while I lived in there. I moved into a different unit when tenants rolled. I rented that one out for way more. And when it's all said and done, this place rented out for almost double of what it did when I first bought it. And it was worth like 200 grand more. So if you're willing to live into a place, a small multifamily, like I said, you can get into it for a low amount of cash. I'd say that's the first option. Second option, if you're not looking at that, I think doing your due diligence to underwrite some of these deals. If you can leverage your guys' labor to go into a place like this and hammer this out cheap, you can buy these deals, you can refinance on the tail end, you can pay all their wages, you can pull all your cash out of it and have an asset that cash flows. You just have to underwrite it right. like I said, we have such an advantage. I mean, just think of what you bill a kitchen out for, opposed to like, I've got a kitchen going into a place right now that we're doing, and I think between the guys' labor and material costs and everything, it's going to be like $3,500 before like appliances to put this like entry level small kitchen in. And it's like, well, if you're hiring that out, you're talking 10 grand for sure all day. So like the amount of money you can save leveraging your own guys' labor and your knowledge, it really is. It's a crazy advantage over other people in this space. I wish every construction guy looked at getting into this, especially just from a long-term wealth standpoint. Even if you bought 10 units, buy the 10 units, pay them off over the next 20 years, you're going to have, very real cash flow coming in every month, and you're going to be worth $1 million. You know what I mean? It just seems silly not to do it.
Now, the living in the rental is not for everybody.
True.
But if it is for you, you're talking about the less cash down, because that's your permanent residence.
Yep.
And that's what banks like to know, that you're there. And then they also give you a better interest rate for a personal residence
They do.
than they for an investor, which is the best part of it all.
Yeah,
And,
it's 100%. Yeah, I'll take that 30-year note at a low interest rate all day if I can get it.
all day long.
Yeah.
That's right. Cody, I have enjoyed myself immensely. I know I would when we talked about some stuff here earlier.
Yeah.
How would somebody reach out to you and say, hey, Cody, I'm interested in some real estate?
For sure. So my primary place of operations for connecting on stuff on the real estate side is my Instagram, which do you have a show notes at the end of this?
We're going to have all this in the show notes. Whatever you're going to tell me, I'm going to put it in the show
Perfect. Yeah.
notes.
So my Instagram is the best place. Shoot me a message on there. And yeah, we're if you're interested in working with somebody to go through this process, like we do guide people through this process as well. And if you have any questions, I love helping guys out. Like I said, I think this real estate vehicle, especially in the construction space, it is insane the value that it can bring to us, in multiple ways.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions about what we talked about today, want to talk about how I estimate or look at the due diligence numbers or something like that, we can do a free breakthrough session at hardhattheceo.com right there. That link will be in the bottom of the show notes as well. Cody, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
And, go out and buy some more properties. Make it happen. All right.
I love it.
All right, guys. We will see you all next week for another episode of Hard Hat the CEO.